Good morning, everyone. Brian here again with BMK Retro Gaming. This morning I have for us the comparison contrast video of the Atari VCS 2600 original library game, Ice Hockey from Activision, and the Atari 7800 original library game, Hat Trick from Atari. Now, these two have a lot in common, which is why I went ahead and decided to put them up for a comparison contrast video. Even though they are not necessarily ports or versions of the same game, they have enough similarities that it's worth taking a look at them side by side. One of the first things we might note is that well, Ice Hockey was originally developed for based on design by Alan Miller for and by Activision and published by them in 1981. It is what we would call a third-party arcade port, as it was developed by Activision and published by Activision, a third party, for a direct port to a home video game console, the Atari VCS 2600. And that was in 1981. Then, of course, in 1984, Bally Sinte released the arcade cabinet original of Hat Trick, which, well, it also got home computer ports to the Commodore 64 and to MS-DOS. And, of course, there was the Atari 7800 port, which was developed by Jack Sandberg for Atari Corporation, who published it. Now, Hat Trick is technically an arcade port, really, which is one of the big differences. I have to give some thanks to my channel subscriber, Tarstarkus, who pointed out, that it's an arcade port. And although it does kind of fit into the sports genre, it's more of a sports theme, particularly hockey-themed game, but it really fits more as an arcade port. It's not really trying to be a serious ice hockey game. Now, Ice Hockey from Activision kind of was, but still it was also designed as a more slimmed-down version of ice hockey, and what could be done with the Atari VCS 2600 at that time. But still, it was designed to be a slimmed-down version, so, especially with Hat Trick, it should be taken more as an arcade port and appreciated that way, whereas looking at it as a pure sports genre game, or looking at it as a serious ice hockey game, is kind of a mistake, because that's not what it was trying to be anyway. He and I also kind of conversed some, and although I kind of disagree, especially with Homebrew and ProBrew now, you could potentially have had a more serious ice hockey game for the Atari 7800. As a matter of fact, considering the other things like Touchdown Football and Real Sports Baseball that were ported to the Intellivision, yes, even back with the original library days, it was possible, but where you have a more serious simulation with a more fleshed out team, say 3 to 5 players on each side, and a bit more realism, so yeah, it could have been done. And it still could be, if somebody wanted to. Anyway, they've got a lot in common overall, and a lot that's different about them. So, I don't want to sit here talking about it too long. Another difference we could say that comes up here is that I have just a loose copy of Ice Hockey from Activision. No manual, no box, just a loose copy. As a matter of fact, this part of the label, when I got out the other day, was kind of loose, so my Elmer's double strength glue stick took care of that overnight. And now it's much better, though it's still in a little bit more worn shape, as we can see. Whereas I have a full CIB complete box copy, which I had opened, of Hat Trick, with cartridge, manual, box, everything, In fact, the box doesn't even have a crease or anything on it. Well, one little side may, but it's nothing terrible. Anyway, one other thing we might note too is, they both have okay. On ice hockey, you have game 1 is a single player game with regular action, and then game 3 is a somewhat harder game with high speed action, single player, while you also have game 2, which is regular action for 2 players. Game 4 is high speed action for 2 players, whereas Hat Trick has a novice setting, an easier mode, and an expert mode, a harder mode, and also has 2-player modes. So they both do have a little bit of varied difficulty. Anyway, I don't want to talk about them too long and all. I've got my Atari 7800 set up here for purposes of convenience, since it will play both. And we're going to toss in ice hockey first and have a look, and then I will switch over and we will go ahead and take a look at Hat Trick, the gameplay. Okay, so here we go with ice hockey for the Atari VCS 2600. I will make a note here that I'm using my Atari 7800, Atari VCS 2600 gamepad controller from Retro Game Boys, just for a little more convenience. So, why not? Could use my VCS 2600 joystick or my Proline joysticks, but why bother? Okay, mode 1, here we go. You can see here you have... Oh no, we're not doing it like that. We're going... Okay. You have 2 players here. One, the one that's closer to your own goal. I'm in red and blue, by the way. The one closest to your own goal is, technically serves a kind of a goalie function, but he also can serve as something of a second player for you. Okay, I'm not going to start with him getting the first one on me like that, all that easy. We can see here you can actually check your opponent's sum, even in ways that would technically be, probably get them in a penalty box, except there is no penalty box here, so. No, you don't. I just hate it whenever a game tries to get you with the... It feels like cheating whenever they try to take the first point from you. Yeah, I know I'm not that bad at this. There we go. Here you have about 3 minutes worth to play with it, which is reasonable enough. One 3-minute period, so... Anyway, there's no penalty box, but if there were, a lot of the things you can do to check them would probably land you in it. So there is that. Brr. Tied him up. And, like I said, your second player is primarily meant to serve as a goalie-type character, but he also kind of serves pretty well as, second player overall. He can come out from your own goal, your own area, being by your own goal to actually help you with trying to score. He can serve as more like how do you say, a winger, or I'm not sure if they use term, not lineman, but a winger forward, or as needed. So he serves more of a useful purpose than just a goalkeeper. Darn it. 2-point deficit. And here, because you got more of a two-player dynamic, fair enough to say that you could pretty easily say that there is a teamwork element here. One of the things we might easily know about the gameplay too is the layout is up and down of the rink, not left to right, so darn it. Okay, now I'm starting to do a little bit on him, but not enough. Arr! Okay, that's just... Okay, so he beat me by 5 points. You know what, I'm not satisfied with that. I'll do one more just for the heck of it. No, I'm not going to do it that way, though. Nope. It's a good game overall, but it's also kind of a tough one in many ways. Admittedly, now I'm thinking about it, maybe my regular joystick would have been a better option here. Oh well. Anyway, so yeah, on this one you have checks and all, so you can actually manage to even floor them and all, so... Oh, get up and move. I've always known, you know, even back in these days, the sports games always had a tendency to be pretty tough. At least up against a computer AI opponent, you're lucky to get a lead and keep it. It's pretty basic. I mean, the guys on here aren't much more than, I guess we could say, roughly equivalent to being stick figures of sorts, but... or just a bit more, but, does overall look good. Like I said, some of the tricks you can do here, you'd probably end up in a penalty box for. Okay, got a little bit of a lead, so that's nice. And you do generally shoot the direction your stick is aiming. And also, you generally have to get the puck by getting it on the end of your stick. You can't really just run into it and grab it. I recall this thing beat me by 1 point at least the last time I played this for the original library review, which was fairly early on in this channel's history, really, so... And I beat him by 1 point, so I did manage to win that one. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch over to the Atari 7800 hat trick. Give me just a sec. Okay, here we go with hat trick for the Atari 7800. Took a sec to get that ice hockey card out because, as some would know, with the Atari 7800, typically your Activision cartridges have a pretty tight fit. Fortunately, mine appears to have been slightly modified, so it's not as big of a problem with them. Okay, gonna do novice, 1 player, just so it's not too tricky. Got a nice intro screen here, something that ice hockey did not have. And there's my first goal. I'm blue, he's red. Okay, we can see one difference here right off the bat is that it is, pause real quick. Yeah, I don't think so. We can see that it's left to right long ways. Set up for the rink rather than being, up and down long ways, so. Again, this one's based on arcade ports, so it is fairly different. Graphically speaking and all, it looks pretty good and all, I was asked whether the screen scaling is kind of stretching it. No, this is the way mine does with Atari 7800 games, and if you were sitting here like I am, it looks just fine. Not really stretched. Even though my screen is a 40-inch modern day digital 40-inch widescreen, it's not stretched. It scales it pretty nice. Anyway, let's get back to it. Now, kind of like the other, it does kind of have Pong elements where your goalies will, they kind of act like, you know, the way they deflect the puck is kind of like how a Pong, how it happens in Pong, really. Of course, here you get just a 2-minute single period. And as we can see, you can bump into and kind of check your opponent, but you can't really check him in a way that knocks him out or anything, so... Also, although you do have 2 players and it's still 2-on-2, well, it's not in a manner that would be, your goalie is dedicated. They don't come out and help any. In fact, your goalie kind of looks like he might as well be some type of Pong paddle. The other element that's kind of like, not Pong necessarily, but an advanced Pong type game, or Pong derived game, would be the element where it bounces off the walls without going out of bounds, which you'd find in some of the stuff like from, say Video Olympics on the Atari VCS 2600 with some of the more advanced Pong type games. And then, of course, you have the Zamboni for the end, so that's different, too. Otherwise, really, before I realized, that there was the Valley Cinte arcade cabinet original of this in '84 and the 2 home computer ports, it wouldn't be too unbelievable for one to be mistaken in thinking that this could almost be like Atari had just taken Activision's Ice Hockey and made an updated port of their own with a different name for the Atari 7800. Because they are very, very similar in many respects like that. I mean, they just have so much in common, though they are fairly different too. Try it once on expert mode before I do it up. Again, this wasn't really meant to be taken as or to be seen as though it should be played as a really serious ice hockey game, so And in the original library review this before, I beat him on the expert mode without too much trouble, so again, you do have some checking on him, but it doesn't do anything but bounce around trying to get the puck loose from him. And darn, he's going to beat the tar out of me this time. Another difference, I guess you could say, is, that your left and right controls a lot of, your active player, while up and down controls your goalie, which, it just switches between them in ice hockey, so that part at least is fairly different. Though not so different in some ways. Daggone, get out my rear, you stupid. Again here, another similarity is that you do have to get the puck on the end of your stick to really take possession of it. You can't just expect to gonna play one more time. I shouldn't have done that. I should let it go through. Oh well. Darn. Had 3 good shots at him and still couldn't manage to get in there. Here, one of the things it does have in common besides your usual joystick, this is a one-button game. You know. Darn it. Huh. They managed to get away with it this time. I'm beginning to feel like my friend and fellow YouTuber content creator Brian Puddin, who does this channel, Brian's Man Cave, he couldn't score a goal on this mode. Whereas the first time I tried on here with my own original library review video, I was able to beat it the first time I tried, so go figure. Darn it. I'll try it one more time before I give it up, since it's not a very long game, or a very tough one, really. Just on this mode, it's a lot more tricky. On the novice mode, you can score into the double digits here, but this one, no. Got one. Finally. So he's getting locked out on scoring now, huh? Darn it. Drop me, red clown. And it actually does have overtime. I wouldn't have guessed that. Uh-oh. And he beats me by 1 point. Anyway, that's enough of the gameplay anyhow, now the Zamboni's done. Okay, so those were ice hockey, Activision's ice hockey for the Atari VCS 2600 from 1981. And from 1988, Atari and Bally Cente's hat trick for the Atari 7800. They're both pretty good. I'd say you're pretty good, well off if you enjoy this type of simple, a little more arcade style of a simplified ice hockey game. Then either one you're good with. I mean, neither one is super spectacular, but they're both pretty good and a pretty good time, so I would recommend taking a look into either one that one might prefer. Anyway, I unfortunately didn't find any recommendations and links. I guess nobody else among my preferred YouTubers decided to take a look at these two paired against each other, so I don't have any to share on that one. Do keep your eyes peeled. My announcement posts have been up for a while now, so you could just have to look in my feed here on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Twitter to see what Sunday's Homebrew Pro Brewer Prototype review will be coming up. Should be a pretty good one. Well, very interesting anyway. Big shout out to my Atari 2600 Facebook group. Love you guys over there. And also to my Atari 7800 Pro System Gamers Facebook group. Love you guys over there too. And hopefully y'all will be getting this video coming down before too terribly long. Things have been pretty nice here. It started off being a bit of a messy day, but not too bad. Anyway, if you guys enjoy this channel's content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And please don't hesitate to leave any questions, comments, or suggestions down in the comment section below. You guys take care, have a wonderful Friday, and hopefully I will see everyone back here again this coming Sunday.